are in Kakamega. Yesterday they were in BUSIA, and there was a lot that came out from Simba Arati, Gladys Wanga, among others. So of course, as we continue to look at ODM as a winning team, according to maybe the voices of those who believe so much in ODM, the reality on the ground is quite different because the squabbles are still going on. So ODM as a party has found itself in a very controversial position, with themselves trying to assure the government that they are with the government, and other members trying to reassure the citizens that they are a strong party that can stand on their own. Now, among those who have been saying so consistently, you've seen as Babu Owino and, of course, SIFUNA, those who want to assert that ODM party is a party on its own and it needs to restructure to grow. Now, how possible is it that they can restructure? Of course, recently there was another meeting in Kilifi, and out of that meeting, it was clear that there was an absence of two figures, Babu and SIFUNA, of which Oburu Odinga stood and spoke about it, indicating they had asked for permission. How coincidence happened that the two of them could miss, and it was said they were on missions is questionable. However, the question goes on as we continue to listen to this. Why the attacks from Simba Arati or Gladys Wanga? Meanwhile, let's listen to what happened in BUSIA, especially in relation to Simba Arati. While he stood to speak about the party, his focus was on what SIFUNA had said earlier, and he came out to say the following.
Vijana hoye, kina mama hai. Wacha kabla sijaanza, nataka niwaulize magavana, kwa sababu ya uhusiano mzuri ambao tuko nao. Tafadhali kujeni hapa. Kuja hapa magavana, chama cha ODM, kwamba tumeshikilia. Hii picha lazima itolewe mzuri. Shika hapo. Haya. Songeza hiyo kitu bwana.
So of course, Simba Arati started by first taking a photo with the governors who are eminent in ODM party, after which he had to speak. And during his speech, it came out clearly that he was attacking SIFUNA. So sometimes during speech, maybe implication and what have you have to come up and the meaning sounds different. So let's look at this again.
Aya, nikisema ODM tunasema tuko tayari. Ya sasa mtanikubalia. Vijana fire! Nataka mnisikize. Mimi naitwa Simba Arati. Ni gavana wa Kisii, vile vile deputy party leader wa chama cha ODM. Tumekuja leo BUSIA kwa mheshimiwa Otuoma kuona kama nyinyi watu wa BUSIA kweli hamjaondoka kwa chama. Nataka nyinyi wana kamera, nataka muone hao wangwana. Delegates, chama iko imara. Hebu weka kofia namna hii nione. Hiyo ODM ndio hiyo. Kitu cha pili, mheshimiwa party leader, Biblia katika kitabu cha Exodus 17 kuanzia mlango wa 8 inasemekana kwamba Moses alienda kule milimani. Alipofika milimani, kulikuwa na vita vya Waisraeli na Wameleki. Baadaye akiinua mkono juu, vita inaendelea. Akiweka chini, Waisraeli wanapigwa. Baadaye Joshua na Aroni na Ur wakaleta kiti ya majiwe akakalia. Wakati Moses akiweka mkono juu, ikirudi chini wanashikilia. Wakapigana mpaka jua likaenda chini na Waisraeli wakashinda. Ile Kanani, ndugu yangu amesema hapa seneta, huu ndio wakati sisi kufika. Na sisi nataka niambie ndugu zetu wa UDA, ndio tumekubaliana tuketi chini, na wale wengine wote wako na fikra kama sisi. Sisi wana ODM tunasimamia vitu muhimu. Ya kwanza, haki za kibinadamu lazima tuangalie. Pili, mambo ya wizi wa mali ya umma hatuwezi kubali, corruption. Sisi wana ODM hiyo ndio tunasimamia. Na mwisho, baba alipolala, kabla hajalala, kulikuwa na 10-point agenda. Na nataka nimshukuru Mheshimiwa William Ruto. Amekubali kwamba the 10-point agenda lazima siafikiwe hata kama tuko na mazungumzo na wao. Kwa hivyo wana Busia, huyu mzee Oburu tutasimama na yeye. Baba, unapokaa wewe jua kwamba vijana kama sisi, na mimi nikiwa komanda wa pili wako, chama hiki tutasimamisha kuhakikishia kwamba kimekuwa na tumechukua uongozi 2027. Lazima tutengeneze serikali tukiwa pamoja na vyama vingine ama sisi wenyewe. Tumekaa opposition kwa miaka nyingi bwana, tumepigwa tear gas, watu wame.
All right, guys, so looking at that discussion that Simba Arati offered, he actually is just emphasizing on the fact of sticking to the broad-based arrangement as a way to get to the Canaan they're referring to. Of course, this comes out after recently we had Babu Wino in a TV station during the Jeff Koinange interview. He indicated that the Canaan that they were told is a vision that the young people must focus on. Now, Arati is young, however, he's not having the same vision as Babu. And of course, Babu indicated that when they were left, they were told to go to Canaan and not Singapore, whereas the broad-based government arrangement is now being diverted to head to Singapore. According to Babu, Canaan and Singapore are far apart, and it's quite difficult for someone to trek from all the way from Canaan to Singapore. Now, his indication was giving a difference of ideology within the party, and of course we'll keep listening to them, but it's such a confusion that I don't know how soon it will end. But it's about the professionals within our own environments to keep questioning the politicians, because currently you can't tell me there is a party that is really holding the government accountable, even though the united opposition is trying, but still there are wrangles that are making it very difficult for them to accomplish them. I don't know what you think, but you can drop a comment based on our discussion here as we move on to what Gladys Wanga said in Busia. Just remaining a little bit of discussion before we get to the today's arrangement in Kakamega. So let's get to this.
Governor wa Vihiga, Mheshimiwa Wilbur Otichilo, our MP who is the host, Mheshimiwa Oku Kainya, mama wa nguvu ambaye ndiye Deputy Secretary General wa chama cha ODM na mama county wa Busia, Catherine Omanyo, our Executive Director wa chama cha ODM, kusimamisha chama na kuamsha chama. Na party leader alisema tukuje mashinani kwa sababu chama cha ODM tunasema ndio kikubwa zaidi south of Sahara and north of River Limpopo, kutoka Vanga huko Kwale mpaka Todonyang huko Turukana, kutoka Tana River mpaka hapa Busia mpaka Nyatige Rumo na Mageta Island. Hiyo ni chama cha ODM. Kwa hivyo tukilinda chama chetu, tukichunge, tuhakikishe ya kwamba ground iko sawa. Hakuna njia hatuwezi tembea, hakuna mlima hatuwezi panda, hakuna mlango hatuwezi fungua, hakuna ukuta hatuwezi bomoa, tukilinda hii chama chetu. Na party leader anajua wa kulinda chama sisi ni viongozi wa kitaifa. Wa kulinda chama ni nyinyi. Nyinyi watu wa ground ndio wa kulinda chama. Na mimi nakubaliana na wao ambao wamesema, na nyinyi mkilinda ground, na sisi kama viongozi tuwalinde, tuwachunge, tuhakikishe ya kwamba nyinyi pia mmeshikiliwa. Kwa muda mrefu watu wanachunga chama ground, lakini ikifika wakati wa nomination na mambo mengine wanasema leta makaratasi ya masomo. Lakini wakati unalinda ground hakuna mtu anauliza makaratasi ya masomo. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kuambia kama wenyekiti wa kitaifa wa chama, tunapea mandate party leader wetu na chama mzima tuangazie zile mambo ambayo iko ndani ya 10 point agenda. Na ile jambo ya compensation ya vijana wetu ambao waliumia ama kuuawa wakati wa maandamano, tunataka sasa pesa huyu mheshimiwa Atandi aweke kwa ile Kenya National Human Rights Commission. By February kwa supplementary budget aweke pesa. By March, April watu waanze kulipwa fidia. Wale hii ni 2026. Uchaguzi ni 2027. Hakuna wakati wa kutopoteza. Sisi tujitayarishe kama chama na tuzungumze na wale like-minded parties. Tukianza na UDA, tuingie pale kama chama cha nguvu, tutafute.
All right, okay. So Gladys Wanga has been blowing the trumpet for the UDA for the longest time possible. And of course, from BUSIA end, she still insisted on the fact that they are holding on to UDA to 2027 elections. And of course, this is something that they must have an opinion because of the same-minded people as opposed to those who hold a different opinion. And when they come to speak as they do, it's clear, you understand they are trying to clearly speak against SIFUNA. Of course, SIFUNA had spoken before in a recent rally, and he did also in this rally, indicating that he is for that change, and he is not actually in the arrangement of UDA. So clearly when Simba Arati or we see Oburu Odinga speaking about what will happen in 2027 in contrary to what SIFUNA holds or Babu, then automatically we understand that even if they do not tell us that there are differences in the party, we understand there are clear ideological differences. Meanwhile, Oburu Odinga did announce the ODM party next move ahead of 2027 election, and it's the same thing that we have heard before. According to him, they can only marshal the party to strongly support the UDA, and then they guarantee their shares. And so the share bracket or discussion is something that has been documented, starting with Rigathi Gachagua. When he was talking about it, immediately they won election, and he kept singing about it. However much people said that he was tribal, we can clearly see that people care about their regions, and it's not a narrative that is new or it will subdue anytime soon. So let's look at Oburu Odinga.
Hapa tena Busia. Na hiyo sio by mistake. Busia deserves it because of what Busia has done to the party. So mimi ninawashukuru sana 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 nyinyi ambayo nawakilisha Busia. Na kwa hivyo leo mimi nimekuja hapa kutangaza ya kwamba baba yetu ambaye ndiyo mwanzilishi wa chama chetu Raila Amolo Odinga ameenda. Na vile ameenda, alituacha akishajenga serikali kubwa ambayo inaitwa ODM. Serikali ikishajengwa, serikali ambayo iko na mzishi mpaka kwa grassroots, mpaka kwa nini polling station, haiwezi kuanguka kwa sababu driver yake na mwanzilishi yake ameenda. Nyinyi bado mko na mmenipatia mamlaka ya kukaa kwa hiyo driver seat. Mimi nitaendelea na sitaogopa. As long as I have the support of the grassroots and I have come here to ask for that support from the grassroots, starting with my county of Busia. Nyinyi watu wa Busia, delegates wa Busia, mtanipatia support. Nione kwa. Asante.
All right, so that was the BUSIA documentation, and of course today the people are in Kakamega at Linda grounds. So let's see what they are having here. Of course, there is SIFUNA Oburu Oginga among other leaders. And of course, this narrative will go on and on until the election process is conducted. I don't know. And from the views of so many people who are commenting on the channel, some of them feel like the Oburu Odinga should be left to lead and do whatever he feels. Then others say when Oparanya is in the ground, then it means Ruto is there. Others feel like Kalonzo Musyoka is the best, one term siku zote, and so many others. So these are the political ideologies we hear from different people around, and of course, so much if you look at the comment section as the Kakamega meeting goes on. And people are very active into giving contributions. But let's just see what is happening on 18th of February as we watch the people who are speaking here. Let's start with this.
Sasa hiyo ilikuwa ni kwamba munaidhinisha hiyo agenda ambayo imesomwa na Deputy Secretary General wetu to form the basis for the discussion ya mkutano wa leo. Kisha baada ya hapo kutakuwa na resolutions ambazo zitasomwa na pia swali litawekwa ili muweze kuidhinisha ama kureject. Tuko pamoja? Asante. Sasa naomba wanalitungwa wajitayarishe, tumkaribishe Mheshimiwa chairman wetu gavana ofisi ya ODM iko ama iko? Watu wa Lurambi je? Tuko na ofisi ama hatuna ofisi? Watu wa Nabagolo, tuko na ofisi ama hatuna ofisi? Watu wa Matungu, tuko na ofisi ama hatuna ofisi? Watu wa Mumias East, tuko na ofisi? Bwana party leader ya kwamba hapa Kakamega sisi kabla baba afe mwezi wa August last year, yeye alikuwa hapa na delegates meeting, na baba Raila Amolo Odinga akifariki alijua ameacha chairman Kakamega. Niseme nisiseme? Baba alisema chairman ni nani? Chairman ni nani? Yes, mwisho sisi tunataka chama cha ODM kiungane. Hatutaki kwenda kwa majadiliano kama tuko divided.
All right, so of course he came up talking about the divisions in the party, whereas the other day Oburu Odinga declined that there was no differences in the party. So what exactly is happening? Because these people are arguing against what can really be seen without even having binoculars or any other additional that has to show us what is happening. Meanwhile, we had different people standing to speak. Maybe let's look at this. So Oburu Odinga stood, and again, just as he said in Busia, he had to reiterate this.
Huko Butere, na nilipoitwa huko, mimi nilienda huko kukula kidogo lunch, breakfast. Lakini sikiliza, lakini nilipofika huko nikapata kuna halaiki ya watu wamenasema hao pia ni delegates. Sasa tuliongea kwa sababu wao pia ni watu wetu wa Kakamega. Mimi niliongea na hawa, na mimi nilikuwa na waziri Oparanya, nilimleta hapa akuje aseme ya kwamba sisi tunataka Kakamega moja. Kwa sababu nimeongea na chairman baraza hana neno. Yeye anasema Kakamega lazima iunga.
Yeah, so Oburu Odinga seems to be holding on to Baraza, the current governor, who is not actually acting right based on the citizens' analysis. I don't know whether he did any groundwork to understand the people to rely on for the party Linda Ground initiative. So Linda Ground initiative is something that ODM came up with because of the fear of having lost the citizens in their own restructuring and focus towards the party growth. So of course, a lot will continue to proceed, and as the resolutions come up, because of course within that meeting there were resolutions, we will also have to look at the united opposition and what is going on. Of course, there are a lot of rumors about Matiang'i ditching Rigathi Gachagua and Malala. How true is this? Maybe we have to analyze a lot of videos they are taking over before we can understand.
Forever. Nataka kusoma what was passed in Kilifi by our Central Committee. Nataka usikize kimakini sana, because as a party soldier, a soldier dies defending what the party has decided. Kwa hivyo usikize sana ukitoka hapa leo ukiulizwa kulikuwaje, what was the message? It is here. Agenda number 1, we are going to review the progress of 10-point agenda, especially compensation for victims of protests. ODM is a rock on its own. We have fought a good fight. We have kept the faith, and we are not going to relent, giving up on those who sacrificed and died defending the vision, the doctrine of the party. Agenda number 2 ni hii ya Linda Ground. Wewe kama delegate, how are you going to defend, to put boundaries, to network, to partner, to merge? Usikize makini hapa. Early preparations for the 2027 general election. The Central Committee noted that general elections will be held next year and resolved that the party cannot afford to wait to begin preparations. The committee directed that structured work commence immediately towards positioning ODM not only to contest next year's general elections, but to form the next government. Mtu aseme to form the next government, including policy development, organizational readiness, coalition building, and candidate preparedness. We are always prepared. Ndio huwa tunasema ODM tuko tayari. And then the third one was pre-election political alliances. The committee meeting expressed the intention to initiate structured negotiations with different political formations, beginning with United Democratic Alliance. To this end, we have mandated, highlight and make it bold. We have mandated the party leader to commence this process. Concurrently, consultations with the party members will proceed, culminating in the National Delegates Convention. So, anytime as an ODM soldier, I know you will meet criticism. Be ready to take the flag and say, we are determined. Wale ambao wanatoka huko mahali bulls napigana, how do the bulls look? Wanna focus. So we are going to focus to form the next government, whether anybody likes it or not, because everybody is positioning to form the government. Tumechoka kukua opposition. Na every time tumekuwa opposition, we have been left behind, we have lagged in the...
All right, guys, so it is just the hyena aspect of ODM feels like they have been in opposition for too long. It's not about what they'll do for the people. It's not about the improvement they'll make. But after tasting the short period of broad-based government with few of them being allocated positions, what they really mind is being in government. And that clearly tells you that Oburu Odinga and his party have endorsed the two-term narrative. And I don't think people should look at ODM as a party that is on the position. It stated that ago, and they are still stating this, that they'll have to work together with similar-minded parties such as UDA, among others, to form the government. So I don't know why people are still asking whether there'll be a member from ODM vying. And I hope they have also talked to Chergei, who told them that they have no major positions in this party UDA arrangement. So automatically there'll be serious clashes of coming up in this arrangement, because some of the people within UDA who feel like they already did a lot for the party, they won't accept to be pushed out just like that. But let's watch from a distance and see what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Kalonzo Musyoka had to speak about what Oburu Odinga did yesterday in BUSIA. Of course, that endorsement of two-term. Let's listen to this as we proceed to the issues that are being seen in the united opposition.
Huyo Mr. Pepeta manzili muona jana akilanda avieta. Dr. Oburu, ndugu yako alikuwa akiitwa mganga. Hiyo ni common vision. Na UDA walisema yule mtu wa vitendawili. Hiyo ni common vision. Mnakumbuka, unajua Kenya ndio Mungu ametupatia kipawa cha ajabu kukumbuka tu. Ni kama ile Raila anaita ngiri.
Edra Bazin, welcome. Thank you so much for showing up on the channel and for your support. I appreciate it.
Mchawi. Hawa wana common vision kweli. Kwa hivyo they want to discuss. Last time I checked, ingawaje DAP walikuwa wamepeana resolution na kutoka Azimio, Wiper Patriotic Front, we didn't do it. Because we knew kwamba tumekuwa na Raila miaka 15. Kama wao wanaona after all that we did to make our late brother president of the Republic of Kenya, wakiona yule alimnyima Raila hiyo nafasi, their party leader, if indeed they believe in the vision of Raila Odinga, then the first point of call should be united opposition. Sisi tuko tayari kama ndugu yangu amesema. Tuko tayari tukae na Dr. Oburu, na kina SIFUNA hawa.
All right, so everybody is actually getting a way to talk to another, forming an amalgamation, forming alliances. All that is their interest, but citizens would ask themselves, what particular agenda do these people have for citizens? Because you look at ODM, they are saying they have similar minds with UDA, and yet citizens are questioning a lot what UDA is currently doing. So I don't know whether it's about the politicians defending their space, or do they really care about the country? That is not very clear. Ezra Brazil says how wanasiasa wa Kenya huongea sana na zero actions. Of course, that is true. When we look at most of them, the ones who are acting are very few. Of course, we saw an example of that about Ndindi Nyoro, and we saw Babu Wino, maybe, and we have few others who may come up, but most of them just speak, because they are ringing a bell, or rather drumming, to favor their end goals. And of course, it has been coming out clear that the opposition now has wrangles. Of course, Oburu's leadership has been tasted and slogans have been stolen. Slogans from ODM have been stolen to UDA. We've also seen the split of that party over Ruto, and that is why we can see the way Hamisi, Babu Owino, Sifuna, among others, speak is very different. You look at people like Wamichomba, they are even in between. They are not so sure where to stand, even though Wamichomba was not exactly in ODM, but she used to speak as if she's in opposition. Then we look at Simba Arati talking about he wants to be the president in 2032, right? And many others. So there are so many controversial and confusing talks. But let's look at the united opposition, whereby people suspect that Cleophas is ditching Gachagua, and they are also suspecting that there is a possible, difference between Matiang and Gachagua. And of course, we had that earlier, because Gachagua said clearly that he may not be able to, not Gachagua actually, Gachagua said he cannot trust Matiang because he's moving around with the government. And then later on, it comes about, and now we see some sort of betrayal. Let's just see here. There is the post that was done by Rigathi Gachagua. He said, I am honored to host like-minded legislators for the 3-day retreat at the coast. We shall have time to review the year that was and plan ahead of the year and the 10th August 2027, when Kenya will be liberated from the bad leadership we are in. Our DCP organizing secretary, Senator Madhikia, will take the members through plans of the year. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And then he said the senators that he is welcoming are John Medhu, Oleseiki, John Kinyua, Kamau Murongo, Karungo Dhangwa, Joe Nyutu, Kamau Munyoro, Kaguya James, Wanjiku Muhia, Kitonga Mukunji, Mwafrika Wakili, Women Representative Gasheri Maina, Nyeri County Assembly Speaker Honorable Gishuhi Mwangi, and then we have MCA David Madenge. Now, clearly when you look at those names, they all come from Wamunyoro. What's happening? Because we expected that when you're talking about united opposition and even DCP, it should be a party that is actually reflecting the nation. So I still, I have to, ask a lot of questions around that choice of people to go along with him. And away from that, Cleophas Malala said this, that's why he is being suspected to be ditching Gachagua at the end of the day. However, we should recall that when Gachagua left America and there was a controversial story around him, Cleophas Malala stood out strongly for him. So whatever has happened between the space of then and now, it's not so clear.
My party leader, with a lot of respect, I am not qualified to advise you, Mr. President. Lakini nisikize tu, you have a choice. Kwamba hawa watu ambao unataka kutumia kutoa naibu wako wa rais ambaye alisimama na wewe, unaweza kuwa unadhania you are impeaching Rigathi Gachagua, kumbe umeanza safari yako ya kujitoa kwa kiti wewe mwenyewe.
Okay, that was before, and then we want to check some other part later on.
But you're still fighting him down. Mr. President, we helped you, we fought for you to become president. We never knew that you'll become this man who does not care about his friends.
Now, of course, Wamuchomba was there then during that discussion, and this is the latest. Is it the latest? Let's look at this.
Faa tuanze saa 5 kamili, lakini tumengoja tukangoja hadi tunaona inafika saa 10, tukasema tuje na tuwaambie kwa nini hajakuja. Mheshimiwa party leader leo vile aliamka asubuhi, William Ruto, rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, akasikia kwamba Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua anakuja Kisa East, akaamurisha kwamba asijaribu kutoka Nairobi. Na Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa amelipia ndege yake chopa ya kukuja hapa. Wakaenda wakatisha yule mwenye hiyo chopa, kampuni ya hiyo chopa, wakasema watainyima biashara ya serikali. Hiyo chopa ikakataa kubeba Rigathi.
All right, so when you listen to that, it's clearly not telling us that betrayal, but through the analysis, through the analysis and the expectation of many, the fact that Gachagua did not attend that meeting and Malala clearly said why he was not, I don't understand why it came out as a rumor that Malala was ditching, because even if he does so, I don't think he could have somewhere to go. Currently, he cannot go to ODM, of course, he cannot go to, UDA. He only has the DCP maybe or other opposition parties to join. Now, there was another rumor about Matiang ditching Gachagua, a rumor that has been going on for long. Of course, it has been indicated that sometimes we have journalists who are used to give such information as a way to bring down other parties. I suspect that is what is happening. So of course there are some people who are giving information about those betrayals, but I'm not so sure. Of course, in terms of politics, people create opportunities, and that's what matters more. So let's come and look at Matiang'i here.
Like bleach with a sparkling fresh feel. Omo bleach, tough stain removal with fresh fragrance.
Happy Sabbath, happy day. Mungu ni mwema na siku zote. Asante sana. Pastor, I'm very happy to meet you here. This is my church pastor. Well, I know the way mambo inakuwa kwa kanisa, he was moved here, but he's my church pastor also. There's the slight difference I have between me and Mheshimiwa Magara ni kwamba I believe that same God he talks about also knows our hearts and our minds even when we don't say those things. And anatuelewa na anatujua na anatupangia. Vile alimwambia Prophet Jeremiah, alimjua before he created him in his mother's, alikuwa amempangia. Mimi naamini Mungu ametupangia na anajua barabara ile tutatembea. Ile tunawaomba Wakristo wenzangu, let us pray for each other, my brothers and sisters. Pray for our country. Pray for love and stability in our country. Even when we do these earthly things that we are doing here, they will not mean anything if we are not serious about our relationship with God. So I pray sincerely and ask you, my brothers and sisters, that let us remain in the service of the Lord. Even when we are talking about these earthly things we are saying here, let us remain in the service of the Lord, in the way we do our things, in the way we live and we relate with each other. I personally believe that the Lord's will is going to be done even as we walk this safari we are walking, and we'll keep working together. Most important thing, Pastor, I can see you have a big construction going on. Na mnajenga kanisa. Count us in, because we are here to serve the Lord. Sisi tunataka kufanya na nyinyi. Because of group. So mkiweka zile goals amo wanatoa na mimi uniweke huko. Hata tukimaliza service leo utaniambia what you have agreed the amo are going to do here. I'm going to contribute exactly what the amo are going to do, and I have other amos in the will abroad like this one. itawaleta kwa AMO. Kwa hivyo mchango wetu wa AMO itakuwa kubwa kwa sababu we are going to join your AMO team. And I am a member of your AMO. I've just registered myself in your AMO group so that we serve the Lord and do not forget to pray for our country and the stability of our nation, to the honor and glory of our God. God bless you.
Alright, so that is Matiang speaking. And of course, his emphasis was on prayer for the country. And of course, the contributions towards the church. Politicians use a lot of that opportunity to get close to churches. And someone was critical about that. That is why there's a time they used to stop, these contributions, especially the Catholic Church rejected that. But there are those churches which still received, saying that even if they don't receive, that money would still go somewhere. So they still picked it and used it for their own purpose. I don't know. Do you think people should continue as pastors, bishops to pick money from politicians? Or should naises? Yeah. And do you believe that Cleophas Malala can ditch Rigathi? I don't believe so. If you listened at more radio FM discussion that Gachagua had, I hope you got what he said on that through the several interviews. So I think it's important that some people actually closely get to follow what is happening out there instead of jumping to conclusion.
Mtazamaji, karibu sana katika mazungumzo haya ya ana kwa ana ndani ya 88.2 FM Mo Radio, ukiwa nami Sami Mo, mfupi sana wa kuweza kumaliza janga hili la utumizi na uuzaji wa madawa ya kulevya katika kanda ya Pwani.
Wakenya wananijua mimi na wanajua rekodi yangu kwa kupigana na mihadarati. Wakenya wanaelewa kazi nilifanya na nilikuwa nimefaulu. Na rais akakoroga hiyo kazi, akajaribu, akakataza maafisa ya polisi kuniheshimu na kunisikiza, na akasimamisha ile mikakati yote nilikuwa nimeweka. Baadaye aliponitoa, akatafuta wale wenye kuuza madawa, akawaleta kwa baraza la mawaziri. Jambo ambayo mimi singekubali wakati na mimi katika baraza la mawaziri, na mimi ndio ninasimamia shughuli za kumalizana na madawa ya kulevya. Mimi nataka nihakikishie Wakenya ya kwamba wakinipatia nafasi nikuwe rais wa 6 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, jambo la kwanza nitafanya ni kupigana na madawa, kwa sababu usawa Kenya na kuleta maendeleo kwa watu ya Kenya, na hasa kutetea sana haki za binadamu, kuhakikisha hakuna mauaji, hakuna kutekwa nyara kwa vijana na mambo mingi ambayo tunaongea na watu ya Pwani. Ndio.
Kulikoni?
Kilio Malala ni kiongozi shupavu na ni kiongozi wa msimamo. Kilio Malala alikuwa Kakamega na ile Malala Super Cup. Alafu akapata homa kali sana.
Okay.
Akaniomba ruhusa hapo kidogo ndio arejee kwa mambo ya chama. Lakini hao watu ya Ruto najua wamekwama. Kazi yao sasa ni uvumi. Huyu inatoka, huyu inatoka. Kama kuna watu ambaye walikuwa ni spies ya William Ruto kwa chama yangu, na hawakuwa watu wangu, ni watu ya Ruto, na tulijua ni siku tu ilikuwa inabaki watangaze pahali wako, lakini katika timu yangu yote tulijua hao ni watu ya Ruto, spy, ni mamoles. Sasa wameenda tu pahali walikuwa ni kutangaza tu, wametangaza. Hakuna mtu ametoka kwetu na hakuna mtu anatoka. Nimekuwa hapa na bunge zaidi ya 20 leo. Hata wengine walikuwa wanatajwa sijui haonekani, watu walikuwa katika holiday. Sasa sio lazima ati kila mtu aonekane na mimi kila siku ndio julikane yako TCB. Hawa wabunge wote waliniomba ruhusa waende wakae.
All right, so as we come to the end, of course, Gachagua has clarified the absence of Cleophas Malala in the party presentation, and the fact that he had an health situation. Of course, that is what we've got from him, and he says that Cleophas is reliable, so there's no way he can ditch the party. And he says that he understood those other malls, talk of Wamchomba, talk of the mentioned Kiomburu, among others. So, of course, if you look at Moses Kuria was on his own, he was not in the party. So that is the situation in the opposition. And I would actually expect more comments from you to build the channel. So let's drop at this. We need to actually do another political reaction on Live Saga TV, then come back to edutainment for a social reaction. Bye-bye for now.